Hello YouTube, it is the 2nd of April and it's just a quick video of me doing my potatoes. I know most of you know how to plant potatoes, but this is just the way I do it, and you might pick up on something that suits you or doesn't suit you on the way I do it. But first of all, I must apologise for the radio silence. Since the coronavirus, I've been quite busy at work. I've been delivering groceries and supplies to the elderly and the people that are in need, and that's kept me busy for 12 hours a day, but I must say it's been very rewarding. So I've not been on YouTube at all, I've not put anything up, and I haven't been watching hardly any videos at all, so please accept my apologies. But back to the potatoes, and these are 30-litre buckets, and I fill the bottom third. That is my compost from my carrot beds from last year, and I've recycled that. And what I add to the bottom third is a small scoop of, that's wood ash from our wood burner. I put that in the bottom third. One, it stops the slugs from going into the holes at the bottom of the bucket, and I believe it's supposed to help stop scab as well. So that's what goes in the one lot that goes in the bottom third. Next, bloodfish and bone, and that is probably about all I put in. Not a lot at all. I mix that in, and this year I'm putting just a little bit. As you can see, that isn't a lot at all. That is ground calcified seaweed, and I'm just going to mix that in this year. It's supposed to be very good for root development, and obviously that's where you get your fruit from, on the potatoes. So that all goes into the bottom third, and then I just give that a real good mix up with my hand. And in there I'll just place on top then my seed potatoes, 4 for the first earlies, 3 for the second earlies, and then down to 2 for the main crop. And there you can see some nicely chitted potatoes there. I start chitting my potatoes on usually the first week in January, or if I buy any, as soon as they come through the post, which is usually early January, as long as you keep the frost off them and direct sunlight. And as you can see, there's some good chits on those. This Desiree here, their save seed, I just planted a couple of tubers in one bucket, and that's what I got off. So I've saved that to plant this year, and there'll be 5 buckets of those. And I'll put 3 of these in, and I just place them, one at 12 o'clock, one in at 4 o'clock, and one in at 8 o'clock. And I'm sure you all know the umbilical cord is on the bottom. You see a little spot, and then the eyes are usually at the top. If you're not sure where the eyes are, usually they're just where there's a smile. If you see that, you can see where there's a smile across there, where the chit's coming out. And on the side, if it's smiling, you're in the right direction. If it's looking miserable, you're in the wrong direction. And that one there goes in at 8 o'clock. And then I'll 3/4 fill that with more compost, and then I put a little bit of bloodfish and bone on top of that, and then I just top off up to the top then. And when I cover these up, I will just give them a little bit of water, not a lot. They should have enough energy in the tuber to be able to supply the potato with energy to get them going. But because it's dry compost, this, I will just give them a very, very slight water. And if you're in doubt of leaving potatoes in or not getting them all out of your buckets or digging them out of the ground, I'll just show you some of the sieved compost. There's one that I found that I'd missed, and then if I go across you can see how small these actually are, and they're all starting to sprout, and then you might not see the tops of them, but they'll be growing under the ground, and that might just produce one potato, but next year that one potato will probably be the size of that bigger one, and then you've got a full plant growing, and you can soon end up with them all over your plot. So I can understand people who aren't growing them in pots, how you can miss those in the ground. I mean, that's pretty impossible to see, that is. These are some that I've just covered over and just put a little bit of water on, and they're ready all for topping up and then moving on to the no-dig beds. So I've 3/4 filled that pot up with fresh compost, this is, and I've just put a little bit of bloodfish and bone on the top there, not a lot. That's just to seep down as rainwater takes it down, and that'll feed. There's enough feed in the bottom that I've already put in to get the plant well established, and then what I've just put in on top will hopefully feed as it seeps down the roots of the plant. And I'm pushing them straight onto one of my no-dig beds. I can't remember what was in this last year. No, I can't remember offhand, but it's had compost put on top in the autumn and just left. And then what I'm doing is I'm placing my buckets on top. I'm going to get 4 in a row and probably 7 rows here. And then what I'm doing around each bucket is I'm topping up with manure, so it covers all the holes, and the bottom 10% of the bucket is covered with compost. If I take you around the other side, it'll give you a better idea of where I have done and where I haven't done. And if you can see it like that, and you can see that all the holes are covered. And the idea being on that when the roots reach the bottom and start to come out of them holes, they will have something to feed on, which will be the manure, and it won't dry out. It also helps to conserve moisture in the bottom, because I will be watering these from the top. And I'm pretty sure that is why I had such good yields last year. Buckets was my first year last year, trying them in buckets, and I was amazed at the results, and I'll never go back to planting them in the ground. That's just my take on it, but I'm a firm believer in the fact that topping the bottom of these buckets up like this to cover the holes, which feeds the plant, I'm sure that's why I got such a good yield. Hence I'm not putting too much fertiliser in the buckets themselves, and it should hopefully give for a better flavour as well, because the more fertiliser you give, the more you dilute the flavour of your potatoes. You might get good yields, but that's at the expense of the flavour. So that is how I do my potatoes, and I'm only putting them on one bed this year. Last year I had them on 2 beds. That's because over there outside the veg plot I've got my first earlies, and I haven't put manure around the bottom of them buckets, and up the top there on the path are some trial potatoes that I'm trying. They're the ones I bought from the show, and there'll be some varieties for us to try, and I'll keep a seed from them if they're a decent variety. I'll take you through the varieties when I do one of my tours, but the reason I'm not putting manure around the bottoms of those are because they're first earlies and second earlies. I don't think that they will have the time to utilise the nutrients in the manure that's on the ground. I think that's better for the later crops that will have a lot longer, probably twice as long in the ground, and I don't think that the new potatoes will have the time to use it up. So still trial and error. I'm going for as big a yield as possible with the best flavour, simply because it means I can cut down on the amount of buckets if I can get some big yields. So that's why I'm trying different varieties. That's what, if I can just get down to doing one bed and then perhaps just a few pots like that, that'll suit me. It means I have a bit more growing space for something else. I hope you're all keeping well in these uncertain times, and hope you're all staying safe. Don't forget to help each other and keep an eye on each other. That's what it's all about. Hope to catch up with you all soon and catch up with your videos. So take care, everybody. Many thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you like what you see, and also think of pressing the subscribe button and tapping on the bell. Take good care. Bye bye.